This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary is a San Diego financial solutions attorney, protecting people like you. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial.
You're live.
Here's Gary.
Happy Wednesday. This is Gary Quackenbush. Welcome to the Word on Wealth. So happy to have you along. As introduced, we have a panel of experts to help you with your money and your finances. And today is the most exciting day of the week because we have Ken Pecus, who is the founder of the Pecus Group at eXp Realty. He's a personal friend of mine. He is a professional friend of mine too. He's helped me and my family with real estate transactions, and he's just a fantastic all-around guy to work with. And I'm just so proud and happy to have him as a partner in our show on Wednesdays. Ken, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. In your introduction, I heard you said the panel. I said, oh, we're having a whole panel today.
That's right.
Or is this just me, myself, and I? Which panel is it?
It's the Pecus Group.
Ah, okay. I can put on different voices and make it sound like we have different opinions. How's that?
I have seen you work real estate transactions, and I believe that's actually what you do.
Did I have multiple personalities?
Yeah,
okay, I got that.
Multiple personalities, because you have to be one thing to the lender and one thing to the buyer and one thing to the buyer's venture capital person and one thing to the other agent and another. And yeah, what's interesting is in real estate transactions, unless you really get into a real estate transaction that has some complexity, I don't think we appreciate what goes on kind of behind the scenes. Like I'm fine with like, okay, here's what I'd like to get and help me get as much as I can, and then kind of get, updates. But then with Ken, you get to see kind of the background, like, why am I thinking this? And I'll have to say, and this I know is not part of what we were planning on talking about, but I'll have to say, I think the hardest thing about selling a piece of real property is setting the price that it should be listed at. Because I deal with clients constantly that say, yeah, I listed that property and and we got offers on it within 1 week. So I know for sure that my real estate professional listed it for way too cheap because it just sold way too fast. And then I have others that will say, it's interesting, this whole thing about pricing a house, why do you list it as, we're going to sell this house between 779 and 792, and what all that's about. But in dealing with you were so good about explaining to me and my family, like exactly why it is priced this way. And that's why it should go on the market at this. And this is how I believe we can sell your property for this money, instead of like, oh, I looked at the comps and this is kind of what they came up with. And I've always appreciated that. And then, having you on the show regularly, I can see kind of how your mind works. And I think that's why people appreciate you. And when I send you, new clients of mine to deal with you, that's why they always go, oh my gosh, Ken, he's awesome. But I think it's just because, the way you communicate with people, and that's what's really cool. So I don't think it's a multiple or split personality. It's just that you can just handle a lot of pistols.
Well, it's kind of, I think you kind of said it there when I know we're not talking about this, but just to go there, when I think one, I don't want to say mistake, but one direction I don't go is that to be hard and fast on something. I mean, pricing when you're in real estate or anything generally is, what the willing buyer is willing to pay and what the willing seller is willing to sell for. And so you have comps, and so you have history of this is what it's always sold for, but doesn't mean that's what's going to sell. So you have to kind of keep an open mind about what's going on. And so I think spending a little extra time to have that conversation puts everybody in a much better, consistent mindset, so that if you have to make changes or if something happens, everybody kind of already understands why something is going to be changed or something's going to happen or why something happens. So it's not coming as a big surprise. It's that this house is worth $100,000 and all of a sudden you sell it for $300,000. They're like, well, no, I actually just did that because I wanted 540 people to offer on it.
Yeah.
That
right.
that kind of thing. So I agree with you about just how you think about it. And I love talking with you on Wednesdays because it gives me a chance to think a lot more things also. So this is a wonderful opportunity.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. We are a pair, right? This is crazy.
I know. I love it. I love it.
Thinking and thinking. It's that thinking and explaining. That's what it is. It's thinking about it, explaining it, being able to teach. And that's why I think this is really a good medium for doing that. So what I want to do, and you listeners, this is kind of where Ken and I are going to go with the show today. Is first of all, I mean, there's always, the feds come out and make some announcement, and that makes the market, move one way or the other, or think about one thing or the other. I want to get Ken's opinion on that. And then we're going to talk about thinking. We're trying to figure out, like, when you're thinking about building a retirement portfolio, where's the initial thing? Like, what is our goal? How do you create that goal? How do you think about it? And then, kind of where we go with that. And I think, having Ken explain that to us, like, how do you even establish like the initial goal? Like, what are we looking for? What are we trying to shape in our retirement portfolios? Like, how do you even get started? And that's been a frustrating thing for me. It's like, well, I don't even know how to get started thinking about it, but we're going to talk about that in the show today. We'll also, we'd mentioned before about, financial markets having soft landing versus crash landing. I'm going to ask Ken a little bit about that. And then, more about multifamily.
Don't forget my weekly feature.
Yeah, just the
Don't
regular.
forget my weekly feature.
The weekly feature. We're gonna do that. Actually, I think we will. Let's start out with that. Do you want to do that after the break?
Yeah, we'll do that after the break.
Okay.
Bunch of little things like that. So whatever works for you, I've got my different personalities ready to talk about each one. How's
Okay.
that?
So we're going to do the new feature, which I love so much, and that's going to be coming up in about a minute or so, which is the cheapest and the most expensive sales in San Diego County, which I always love that, because last week we were between $100,000 and $6.5 million. So I'm interested to see kind of what we're coming up with this week.
Wait till this week.
Okay. You're listening to Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush and real estate expert Ken Pecus. Ken's direct line is 619-977-8419. One more time. Do not memorize any other number for real estate other than this, 619-977-8419. Or if you're into the internet stuff, which is awesome, his website is kenpecus.com, and it's Pecus, kenpecus.com. You can look him up and get his number there. All right. What we're going to do, we talked about it, coming up is our new feature each week, the cheapest and most expensive sales in San Diego County, which is always fun. We're looking forward to that. Coming up next here on the Word on Wealth. If you want to be part of the show, call us up at 888-344-1170. You can talk to Ken and me directly, and we'll be able to guide you through the process of buying and selling and thinking about building your retirement portfolio with real property, which if you don't do that yet in San Diego, you got to do it. Coming up next here on the Word on Wealth.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is faith-based investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christian families don't understand this one thing. The money that you're saving for retirement helps fund the abortion industry as well as other liberal anti-family causes. It's the sad, dirty little secret of American investing world. And here's the good news, though. You probably also didn't know that just a few minutes of your time and we'll screen and clean your investments for you. There's no cost, no obligation. Learn the truth about your own investment mix. Then the choice is yours. Remember, the word says when God's money is in the hands of the righteous, the people rejoice. Well, we also are fiduciary investment advisor representatives. That means that our firm makes a pledge to always act in your best interest. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com. Download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing, or call me at 931-RETIRED. And please don't forget, listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
So, Gary, we've talked a long time about estate administration. So what is that? And why is it important?
Estate administration is the distribution part of estate planning. So when someone passes away and they leave money to beneficiaries, the property has to be administered. So it's like taking it from the decedent to the survivor. That's called the estate administration process. So usually you're going to have a successor trustee that's named in the trust. They'll have no idea what they're doing because they've never done it before. So then they call on GQ Law and we walk them step by step on how to be a successful and good successor trustee. We also do the required notifications. We notify the Department of Health Services and all the legal requirements so that they can have the estate administration done properly. We help successor trustees be successful.
Call or click to request your free consultation. GQlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, GQlaw.com.
Who will you trust with the biggest financial decision of your lifetime? If you're planning to buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecus and the Pecus Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of The Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecus has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecus Group, from single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings. Ken Pecus is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecus.com. That's Ken Pecus, Pecus.com, or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
TV news.
Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, GQlaw.com.
You're live.
All right. Hey, we're still here. I'm here with Ken Pecus. Ken, we got to get moving on this thing. People are so excited. They're driving. They're sitting in parking lots going, come on, Gary, get on with this show. New feature starting. We have done this now for exactly 1 week. Today's the second week. But I love this part. It's the cheapest and the most expensive sales this last week in San Diego County. So Ken, update us, man.
All right. So I think last week we started with the least expensive. So this time let's start with the most expensive.
Okay.
There was a property that sold for $10.5 million this week. But you'd be wrong if you thought that was the most expensive, because there was a property that sold for $11.5 million and closed escrow. And so $11.5 million, it closed escrow in Encinitas. It was on the bluff above the ocean. Get this, 3,200 square foot house. So we're talking about
What?
3,500. We're talking about a $3,500 a square foot that sold out. And what's really cool about the place is new construction. It's custom built. It's so sweet. It's got a private access all the way down to the ocean through the cliff down the bluff. And so it's got a dry sauna. It's got everything, but it's not a very big house. But it does have the huge Pacific Ocean and the sunset. And for $11.5 million, it's all yours. Well, it's not all yours. It's all somebody else's now.
Dang,
So
that's very cool.
there you go. And just to know that $10.5 million didn't make the highest price for this 1 week. So there's some coin changing over in San Diego. And then on the
Wow.
other end, so I got three lowest. So the very lowest priced real property that sold was a manufactured home, and it sold in Oceanside actually. So the 92057 zip code. It's actually a pretty cute place. I mean, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,140 square feet. It's in a 55 plus community, and it closed escrow for 267, which is, you know, a very, very doable price point for a lot of people in San Diego, especially 55 and over.
Yeah.
And then, so that was a manufactured home.
Okay.
And then there is the lowest condo in San Diego County that sold was for 320,000. It sold in Escondido in their 92027 zip code, because Escondido has multiple zip codes. And it was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, but it was 700 square feet, so it was pretty reasonably sized for a 1-bedroom. So that was the lowest priced condo that sold in San Diego County. And then the lowest single family house was actually a type of a cabin out in Palomar Mountain. And it closed escrow for 363,500, and it was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, but it was 900 square feet, so it's a big 1-bedroom, 1-bath. It was like an A-frame, really cool woodsy place.
Yeah.
And get this, it was on a half acre, so
nice.
So it's not like, you know, just like this little house. It had a lot of room to go, and so if somebody's looking for like a vacation home or just wanting to live in the rural part, you know, that's 363,000 for San Diego is you know, very doable for a good part of the population. So there you go. That's what's going on in San Diego. The overall real estate market stayed stable from the previous week, meaning that we really didn't increase inventory much. Maybe went up by, you know, 40 or 50 total counts. A lot of properties still went pending. The median stayed kind of at 840. Last week it was 841. So it's kind of holding firm. I myself, I've done, you know, it's been a crazy week. I've sold everything from a off-market place in Ramona that came back. That's just under $1 million to like right before we came on the market. I mean, right before we came on the air just now, I just got an accepted offer in South Park on a 836 square foot house that's just inching up to $1 million there. And then I put a $4.5 million place in escrow sight unseen in Bankers Hill, and that's going to close like in a few days. So there's a lot of strength in the buyer segment in the San Diego market. There's a lot of property that's got, you know, multiple offers all the way across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And then the properties that don't have the multiple, there's still strong interest that you can look at it. So it's a good market. So I guess the state of the market is good, is what I would say.
Now, as far as like things like, so you're selling from all the way from Ramona to South Park to Bankers Hill, which is all over the place. And you're saying the market there, it's strong for buyers. Why is that? Because it seems like what we hear in the news is, you know, the Fed chairman came out and he cleared his throat twice and then said, yeah, I might do this again. And then the market kind of flip-flops and people get scared with things like that. They go, oh my gosh, I'm not going to put my house on the market, or I'm not going to buy now. I'm going to wait until something else happens. Why do you say that it's strong, and why, and should or should we not get into the market if we're trying to buy or sell?
Okay, so let me clarify what I said and maybe what you said, so it's not misinterpreted. The market is strong with buyers, not necessarily for buyers.
Okay.
So the difference is there are a lot of qualified buyers out there. There's still a lot of cash deals. We were holding an open house for another listing with our company, with EXP, and it's another one in North Park. There was just, it was listed at $1,299,000. I felt it was a little bit low for the listing agent, but we said, well, let's just see what happens. Lots of offers. We know it skied way over, you know, $1.4 million, and there was a lot of cash deals in there too. So if you're looking to sell, if you're moving, if you're you know, just retiring, going to something smaller or whatever, and you don't have to buy, you have where your housing is going to be, it's a great time to sell. It just is, because there's a strong market. Doesn't mean it's not going to be just as strong later on, but I wouldn't hold back on selling now with any insecurity about whether or not you could sell, as long as you price it reasonably. I mean, you can't, if the going market for your house is 700,000 and you say, well, it's great for sellers, I'm going to put my house on the market for $1 million. Yeah, it's going to sit there. It's not going to sell. You know, people are informed. Buyers informed. Their agents are informed. So there's only so much you can, get away with. But if you're looking to sell at high market value and you're a seller and you want to know, is this a good time to sell? Then yes, sell. But I wouldn't sell if you just think it's a good time to sell because there's an oncoming market collapse, because I don't see that happening in any near term. So if you own property right now and you have no other reason to sell other than you're thinking, wow, maybe I should sell because the market is high, in that respect, my advice is no, don't do that. Don't get out of the market. Keep your property. Only sell when you have a reason and a plan for why you're selling, and hopefully why you're buying again, because you want to stay in the market as a property owner, because that is your best hedge always against inflation. Always, always, always.
Okay. Excellent. And I appreciate that. And that is especially true for Southern California. That's really, I agree. I believe it. Hey, I do have a question. This is not off topic, but just a kind of a question for you. Let's say that somebody wants to buy in San Diego somewhere. They're just like, oh, I'd love to be in San Diego County. And they kind of know their price range because they, talked to one of the mortgage bankers that we referred them to, and they kind of know about what is the best way for somebody to just start looking for or finding properties, just to kind of find, what, if I have, $1 million total available, where do they, what's the easiest way for them to figure out where to look? Do they go on to, are there websites? Do we just call you? Can they go looking around just to kind of see what the market's like?
Right. I think you do a little bit of both, but in my case, I absolutely think you should get a well-versed real estate agent like myself, or somebody that you know well and who understands market well, because you're going to do both things. You can go, everybody is independent now. So like, if I want to go buy a new pair of Nikes, I'll go to Tennis Warehouse, I'll look up the Nikes or the Adidas shoes, and then I'll start. But if I really want to understand something about the shoes or whatever, I'm going to go up to Roadrunner up in Convoy.
Yes.
And because you go there, you get your foot talked to, you talk to experts about what is the right kind of shoe, what are you kind of doing it. So it depends on where you are. And if you don't understand where you want to be, if you don't understand which neighborhood you want to live in, you're kind of open to everything, then I think you really, really should get better consultation up front, because what might seem, you can't see that over the internet. You can't see the conversation you can have with somebody via video. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me give you I'll give you a perfect example. I was trying to negotiate a deal, and we had multiple offers, and we had somebody that was trying to buy a place, and they were out of town. And if you look at the pictures of the property, it looks awesome. It's totally, totally great. And I can see how somebody would just fall in love with it and want to buy it. But there were things about that property that if you didn't go there in person, it could drive you insane because of its location, because of some of the
2 minutes
of being in that exact location. If they try to buy that property or look at that property without going to that property and seeing that property, it could have been a huge, huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where those conversations come in with somebody like myself or your agent, is because let's say you say, I know I want to buy $1 million. I have $1 million. Well, do I invest it in Tierra Santa? Do I go to La Mesa?
Mm-hmm.
Do I go? Can I get anything in Encinitas? Is there anything in Bay Park? So you want to kind of get an understanding of what it is you're looking for, and it might be a little more time consuming where you're sitting down and talking for an hour or two, or maybe doing some stuff, but you're going to use your future time while you look much better, because there's a lot of online apps. We all have Like I have Ken Pecus. If you go to the the App Store on iPhone or on Google, you can find me. I'm Ken Pecus. I have an app. You can get my app. You can go search for
1 minute.
You can go to realtor.com. You can do that. You can go to Redfin. You can do that. What you want to do is have an idea of what you're doing so you can be guided better and get a direct things from the MLS strip,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yes, no, that makes perfect sense because I think I talk to people that they inherit money, they're looking to buy property and they kind of don't know where to start, so they don't, or they kind of get sucked into like surfing the internet and saying, where can I buy a nice house in San Diego for $1 million? And then they just get all kinds of advertisements and things. And I just think that it gets you a start, but I don't think people understand how soon in the process they should actually hire an agent. And that's why I'm encouraging them. You guys, if you are buying or thinking of buying or thinking of selling, get a great agent on your side. And that's going to be Ken Pecus, 619-977-8419. All right. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about like getting into building your portfolio and how to think about it. Coming up next year on the Word on Wealth.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We are here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
Saving America Town Hall on August 10th at the Encore Event Center in San Diego. Come spend time with us in person, discussing all the issues of the day. There's a private VIP meet and greet at 5 and a main session at 6:30 p.m. We haven't done a lot of events since we were all locked down, so come on out and see us live. Get your tickets now at theanswersandiego.com, keyword Town Hall. Tickets are going fast. Get yours today. We have a country to save.
Sponsored by the Salt and Light Council.
You're not alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's gqlaw.com, 855.
We're live.
TRUST.
Happy Wednesday and welcome to the real estate segment of the Word on Wealth. We've got real estate expert Ken Pecus right here in studio, on studio, in the air, and you can call and talk to Ken. I mean, this is an opportunity, you guys. 888-344-1170. Call with your questions. Get them in. Call now. 888-344-1170. We're going to leave some lines open while we figure out building our real estate portfolio. So feel free to call. Be part of the show. And Ken, let's get into this.
All right.
How to create the
Well-
initial goal.
Okay, before we get into that, I've been dying to talk to you about something that's going to make you really popular with your younger grandchildren and maybe younger nephews and nieces.
Okay.
Real fast. Ready?
Mhm.
Swiftonomics. Swiftonomics. Do you know what Swiftonomics are?
No.
Do you know what a Swiftie is?
Yep.
Okay, right? Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Well, do you know that she kind of controls our economy right now? So the
Wouldn't
Fed's
surprise
actually
me.
using her.
Okay.
Well, hey, this is it. Because, you know, if your grandkids, you go, hey, what's Swiftonomics? It's all about Taylor Swift. And they go, huh? Yeah, Taylor Swift. She's the one that kind of controls how the Fed's going to raise our rates. Because they're talking about, the Fed talks about the Taylor Swift effect. And so right now, Swiftonomics say life is good because you have all these generation X, Y, and Zs and everything and millennials willing to spend huge amounts of money for tickets, flights, hotel rooms to chase Taylor around the country. And if you start looking at some TikToks, and if you start looking at Instagram, you'll see that they even had something on a flight. I think it's from Salt Lake to Denver, and the flight attendants, the whole plane started singing inside Taylor songs. So they're talking as long as people are traveling to see Taylor Swift in concert, we've got a good economy with disposable income going out right now. So there you go, Swiftonomics. That means the real estate market must be good.
Okay.
Right?
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? That's interesting. But it's funny because so many things affect how people feel. And I mean, like we talk with Anthony Wright on our Thursday show, and we talk about that all the time, and he just laughs his head off and he says, money is emotional. I mean, buying a house is emotional. I'm in the real estate market. I mean, it's funny, Anthony is all about the money and the investments and debentures and corporate this and, stocks and bonds. And we talk about it.
Right.
And with you, it's the real estate. And are we going to be in Bankers Hill or Encinitas or, in El Cajon? So it's just like, there's these different pockets and all of it is emotion driven. So that's funny.
I
It's
got
amazing.
you off track there, but
No, I think that's important because that's what we're talking about. It's like, is like how do you create this initial goal? Because it's like, I really, really want to be a real estate investor and I'm going to do that. And I have no idea where to start. So it's like, what is your goal? How do you get into it? And that's why we're going into this today. So yeah, Taylor Swift effect. Yeah,
Okay.
It's good. It's good. We got lots of money.
All right. So here we think about it. When you go to when you're trying to sit down and you're trying to think in terms of retirement, so we'll put it in cycles. Let's put it in 20-year, 30-year, maybe 10-year cycles in terms of where retirement is going to sit. One of the things that I believe most of us, I know I myself had the same problem for a long time, is I kept hearing, well, when you retire, you're going to need $1.5 million in your your retirement accounts to do this, to generate the money and whatever. And at the time, when I was going it, I was making like $40,000 a year, and I'm like, how am I going to make $1.5 million? It's very hard to understand that.
Yeah.
It's very hard to think, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. I bought a house at that time, I bought a house for $164,000, and you want me to conceptualize that house right now that house someday is going to be worth, $1.6 million.
Uh-huh.
Well, the weird thing about it is that house that I bought for 164, I don't own it anymore. I sold it, but I could go sell that same house for $1.6 million today.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to understand that when you're thinking, well, what I can understand is my here and now. I can understand what would make me happy today. So what I tell people when I meet them to start establishing their portfolio goals, I said, okay, so let's just say today was your retirement day. Okay, today was your retirement day. How much money, what kind of revenue would you be needing to come into passive income for you to live your best life that you want to live? And they would go, well, what do you mean by that? And I'll say, your best life is you're not worrying about money. You have the funds to take care of whatever shelter you're living in. So whether it's a house or this or that, you have enough money to go eat out whenever and whatever to your desire, not just anything, but to what you want to do. You have enough to take care of if you're supporting kids in college or this or whatever. You have money to do that. You have money to travel, and you have some more money to keep putting away. I said, so if that day was today, right today, how much would that have to be this month? Would that be, if you could you retire today if you had $5,000 a month coming in? Could you retire today if you had 10,000? Would that number be 20,000? What would that number be in today's dollar that you would retire? And that's the first thing I believe people need to think, because of inflation, because of everything that rises, because of what happens. Instead of thinking where it's going, just think of in today's. And if you structure your goals in today's, you can now start to create a business model around it. And I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So let's just say, if today was the day you retired, you said, well, hopefully my house is paid off and I'm not working anymore and I'm retiring, but in order to really live the life I want, I'm going to have to make $10,000 a month. And I need $10,000 a month to come in, because I'm going to get a certain amount of money from Social Security. I'm going to get like $2,000 a month from Social Security. I had put away my 401k, and I know that in my retirement, I will be getting approximately $1,500 a month in my 401k. So that's $3,500. And if I had 10,000 more that I could use, I could travel, if I wanted to travel every 3 months or something. And I go, great, that's a start. Doesn't mean that's the end. You just start with a target. Okay.
Okay.
And then from that 10,000, you then you ask, is that 10,000 after taxes or 10,000 before taxes? If that's 10,000 after taxes, that means you really need, about, in California, you really need about 13,500, give or take, before taxes. So that means your income that needs to come in has to be about, let's just round it up, because I like round up numbers. Let's just say it's $14,000 a month. I need $14,000 a month coming in from my real estate portfolio that will supplement my retirement plan and my Social Security, and I can live the life I want. I can buy a new car every 2 years. I can do this, I can do that, whatever, in today's dollars. Now you have something you can look at it, because now that you need $14,000 a month, you can say, if I go out and buy some property, or if I had property right now, what would be making me $14,000 a month? Well,
2 minutes.
And if the average rent of a 1-bedroom apartment in San Diego is anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000, it means you probably need 8 to 10 doors to be able to get you that $14,000 a month, right? So like if you had, let's just say you had 8 doors, 8 rental doors, or 8, where 8 different people are paying you rent, and each person is paying you rent today at dollars a month.
He's cutting out.
Sorry, I think I went out there.
You did. You're okay.
2,000. Yeah, okay. Paying you at $2,000 a month, you're getting approximately $16,000 a month in rent, right?
Okay.
So, right now, if you're getting $16,000 a month in rent, you're going to have
About a minute.
$15,000 a month in rent. You're going to have property management fees. You're going to have property taxes. You're going to have everything. So you're probably going to move that 16 to 18,000. You're probably going to want one more door to cover all that extra cost.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll pick it up after the break at
Yeah.
where we now thinking 9 doors.
Okay. So this is Ken Pecus and Gary Quackenbush here on the Word on Wealth. The direct line to talk to Ken right now on the air is 888-344-1170. We're going to have lines open to the top of the hour with Ken Pecus. His number, direct line to him, is 619-977-8419. So we have the basics on figuring out how much money do you need? And Ken's giving this great example on how much money do you need? How many doors would you have to own? And coming up next, we're going to talk about, so how do you manage that? How do we get into owning 6 or 7 or 8 doors? What does that mean? How do we get there? We're going to be talking about that plan. So be glad you're on air today, listening up with Ken Pecus here on the Word on Wealth. And we'll be back to finish figuring out how to get that many doors in your portfolio.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
Gary, your team at GQ Law are experts at solving IRS and state tax problems. Talk about that.
When people have a tax problem, it tends to really stress them out. And one of the things we've been able to do is figure out how to resolve tax problems. One thing we might be doing is setting up a payment plan or getting a collection delay, maybe getting a determination that the person shouldn't have to pay the taxes at all. We do offers and compromise. We do auto reconsiderations. And one of the things that's a really powerful tool that some people don't recognize is sometimes bankruptcy can be used to actually eliminate taxes when there's certain conditions of the code that are met. So we can do all kinds of things. After we analyze your situation, we can figure out what's available, discuss your options, and figure out which ones to implement, what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. And we can get people out from under all kinds of tax problems so they can sleep. That's our goal.
Request your free initial consultation. GQLaw.com. 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
You listen to
Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
You're live.
Right. Hey, you're listening to the Word on Wealth. Is this fun or what? We got Ken Pecus, who's our real estate expert. His direct line is 619-977-8419. If you call my office, I will tell you the same thing. Okay. We are, so we've done the calculation, figured out how much money we need to live on, whether if you're going to retire now or stop or whatever. We're trying to figure out, okay, here's what we need. And we've kind of established a number, and Ken's got us thinking, okay, so I need to have a certain number of doors, which is a super cool term. Like, how many doors do I own? To be able to maintain or obtain a certain amount of income. So Ken, keep going, man.
All right. So now keep in mind, you have to be fluid in your thinking. So everything you put for yourself, or I say for this, has to be, this is a starting point. And as you go along, as you get more experience, as you're doing things, you make adjustments, okay? So it's not a hard and fast, but you need a place to start. Everybody needs a place to start. And that's the key. So this is the place to start. So let's say you have 9 doors, because now you actually know, gosh, if I had $18,000 of rental income, every single month right now, if I was retiring today and I had $18,000 of rental income, I would have enough money to pay the property management, the property taxes, the extra maintenance bills. I would hopefully get about $14,000 a month, of which I would have enough money to pay my taxes, my federal taxes. And then hopefully that means I have a net of like 10,000 plus my other retirement gives me about 13,000, and I can just be living a cool life, which is what my life is, right? So the thing you have to get into your brain is once you acquire those, if you have that kind of income now on those units, or if you build to that kind of income now, as you hold these properties over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, inflation and your constant rent raises, because you have to be in a position where you're always moving with the CPI, that when you go to retire, that $18,000 today will be whatever you actually need it in 30 years. It could be 60,000, it could be 55,000, but it was $18,000 in today's business. So now here's how you approach it. I'm going to say, let's say you had all the money setting aside right now. I'm just being, idealistic. And you go and you buy a 9-unit property. And lo and behold, the 9-unit property has, effectively $18,000 in rent. And just to give you an example, a 9-unit property in San Diego right now, depending upon where you buy it, like whether it's a beach area or whatever, could be somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5 million. Okay. And in order to buy a 9-unit property, you probably need to put about 30% down. And so you might have to have $1 million. And the rest is going to be a loan. Well, what happens when you first buy that is the rents are going to pay the payment on the loan, right? You're not going to have any cash that's going to come out of it. That's why you're doing it early on in your life. You're just buying the property. You're continuing to work. You're doing whatever you need to do to just normally live. But you're going to start having your portfolio work for you. And so as you get into year 10, year 15, year 20, the rents are constantly going up. And what's happening is you're now accelerating the pay down on your property. And as you accelerate the pay down on your property, the loan payments are getting smaller and smaller. And so then you start getting a higher amount of disposable cash every single month that's then yours to keep. And so you keep doing that over all that time. Life can do its work. You get to your retirement age, and lo and behold, you actually have a portfolio that's going to give you $18,000 in today's dollars, whatever it is in 30 years, whatever, or 20 years or 25 years. So most people don't have the million, but they do have, if they're ready to start a portfolio, they do have a certain amount of money that they can buy the smallest thing. So I have a lot of people, like I have somebody that I started with that they just bought their first duplex. And then after a couple, and they were about on a 25-year plan. Then after that first duplex that they bought, that duplex went up, and then they were able to pull some money from there, just like some of the stuff I talked about last week with the HELOC. And they were able to use that. They put a little bit more money aside, and they were able to buy another property. And by doing that over the course of the first, if you don't have all the money at the start, you can use the appreciation to help build it up. And then you get to between year 5 and year 7. And before you know it, you actually will have 6, 7, 8, or 9 doors. Now, none of those doors are going to be throwing a lot of cash because you're using your built up equity to buy the extra doors. But then once you have the tenants start to pay those down, and you're not going to use any more money to buy new doors, then they'll start accelerating. So it all depends on where you're starting at. If you're starting with let's say you're starting later in life and you're age 50, but you have cash, because right now interest rates are pretty decent they're tough for when you go to borrow, but on the reverse side, you can go into a money market, you can go into a CD, you can go into fixed income, and you get a reasonable amount of interest coming back right now. Mm-hmm. So that's one option that people are doing. But I say, instead of necessarily putting that much money that way, if you have a lot of cash, it makes way more sense to put it into the income producing places now, because you will continue to build the appreciation, and you'll let the tenants pay down your loan. And eventually, when those tenants have paid down all those loans, whatever, to get really low, the amount of income that you're getting on a monthly basis can just exponentially multiplies when you get to year anywhere between year 8 to year 15, it just starts exponentially multiplying. But then people don't get that long. They freak out, or they sell too early. They have to understand the first couple, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you have to put the time in. But if you wait it out and you do this systematically, and I have a lot of clients I've been working with since the late 90s, and we're all in various different spaces, actually even the mid 90s, we're all in various spaces. They're all in various spaces of great income that they have now. And so but you have to know how many doors is your target. You know, you have to kind of understand, and the best way to understand how many doors would be your target is to think about your life the way it is right now. And if your life is not great right now, meaning that you don't feel like you're enjoying life the way you want, then dream a little. What would be a really nice life to dream in? But then you have to assign cost to that dream. You have to don't put pie in the sky. People that get places are the ones that spend a little extra time to be specific about what it is they want. If you know what you want, you can get it, but you can't just leave that like nebulous. You have to be specific about what it is you're trying to accomplish. And at any time, if you change your mind, adjust your goal. It's fluid, adjust it.
So I think what we're saying then, Ken, is it's really a matter of not just like, okay, the housing market, it looks good to me, it looks bad to me. According to Swiftonomics, it's a good time to buy, it's a bad time to buy, good time to sell, whatever. It's more that you have to have a long-term thinking plan. And this is the kind of good financial advice that we should all take to heart. It's not a matter of just thinking and wondering. It's a matter of actually going through the process, through the steps of trying to determine how to get into real estate in Southern California and what would happen. And as you can see, you know, I know I've talked to people, they say, well, you know, I said, what do you do for a living? I'm a house flipper. What does that mean? Well, that means I spend a lot of money on a house and I build it up and I flip it. I go, okay, that's great during certain periods of time. What's your long-term plan? What's your retirement plan? How much are you putting away? I don't know. I'm just a house flipper. But it's like, okay, the short-term quick flash in the pan, get money. Okay. But let's think about in terms like Ken's saying, are you 10, 15, 20, or 30 years away from retirement? And what can you do? What's realistic as far as getting to that point? How many doors? How much is that going to produce? How do you get there? And that's why we talked to Ken. That's why he's here for you here on the Word on Wealth. My recommendation to any one of you is to get started in that thinking process, make your little notebook or your big notebook and just start taking notes. Like, I think this is what I want to get accomplished, and write down this number, 619-977-8419. That way you can meet with Ken. You can talk with him. You can pick his brain and say, Ken, this is what I'm thinking. Here's how long it's going to be before I retire or before I need this money. Help me figure out a plan. Ken is very good at that. That's why we have him on the show. That's why he's my show partner on Wednesdays. Ken, we're going to continue this discussion when we come up next week, but we really want to talk about, you know, how do you know if you have enough? You know, it's kind of like, how do I know if I have enough, or whether I'm thinking way too far in the future, if I'm thinking way too much money? We want to talk about that. So you guys, that's going to be something we keep talking about on a continuing basis. We're going to have a new feature again next Wednesday when that comes up with Ken, the highest and lowest sales in San Diego County. You can see what a wonderful time that is to kind of discuss those things. Ken, it has been a terrific time we spent with you. Always a pleasure.
Super enjoy it.
Yeah, it's fun. And I appreciate everything you've done for me personally, for clients. I'm just happy when I send you people, they usually contact me and say, oh, wow, Ken is as good as you said he was. So that's because I'm telling the truth. All right, you guys, have a good rest of your day. Ken, have a great rest of your day. Hope you enjoy your week, your weekend, and you have it great. So we'll be talking to you again next week. Thanks for being on the show today, buddy.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995, with financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning. wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. The information you hear on the Word on Wealth is for general information purposes only. This program discusses general financial and legal topics. Seek legal advice from a competent lawyer for your individual legal needs. The opinions expressed here